I will be speaking on corporate social irresponsibility, CSI. I didn't realize what that was. That's good. Why many don't trust corporate CSR initiatives and how you can change that. And we have Rad Dockery.
Take the Scottish out of my name.
Yeah. He's Irish. Radcliffe is the founder and CEO of Higher Eye Training and Consulting. He has delivered training for businesses, educators, and young people in Asia, Southeast Asia, the Americas, Sub-Saharan Africa. As a community volunteer, Radcliffe has had hands-on knowledge about the challenges facing young people around the world, and he uses this knowledge to strengthen CSR initiatives for companies across various sectors, such as HBC, Zurich, TELUS, IBM, AT&T, and Canada Post. And this includes roles in marketing, training, and strategic alliances. Please join me in welcoming.
Thanks, Kevin. And again, for those of you who've seen me speak before, I'm always the guy after lunch. So I guess part of my role is to wake you up. So whatever I say, if you find it offensive, blame Bruce. If it's good, give me all the credit. Thanks. When Bruce asked me what I want to speak about, or he always asks me to come with a provocative topic. And the topic of CSI, I didn't put CSI on here, I didn't want to get sued by the company, by CBS. But we talk about social responsibility, and there's been a lot of increase and a lot of talk about social responsibility, community engagement, social responsibility. The last 5 to 10 years, you hear it all the time. It's almost a term almost overused now. And I know the last CSR seminar in Toronto discussion was, is CSR dead? And we're trying to figure out a way how to deal with this whole topic of CSR. When I say CSR, the average person on the street, they think customer service rep. They don't think corporate social responsibility. So I want to go through a bit about how I view CSI. And this slide was created by my youth advisory board. Higher Eye, we focus on youth issues and integrating youth issues into CSR initiatives. And my youth advisory board helped me form this because they were talking about, they put it in a more informal way. They said, we don't trust most of these companies. We don't trust them. I'm going to walk through where that trust gap is and how some steps you can take to solve it. We're not going to solve all of it. We'll give you some steps as to where to solve it. My communication style, I'm glad the professor went first talking about communication. I'm from that African Caribbean. I got some facts, I got some emotion. I'm not gonna... So as the young people say, I'm going to keep it real. So what is CSI? So we're changing the terminology. What is CSI? Without reading through it, you can read what it means, what we believe it means. But the reality is, it's about companies who just do it for the sake of just doing it. It's a job. I'm on the highway every day, I'm on the subway, I'm going to this job. Okay, I'm going to do something for the kids. Make sure we make this check mark and we're okay. It's like what most people in most of their jobs today in the world today, right? I go to work, I can't wait till Friday. In other words, CSI is when a company is missing the soul of why they're doing it. Why are you doing this? Do you care? Do you have any passion? Or you just doing it to say, no, I've met a protocol and it's all good. So why do we do CSR? Numerous companies have reports, and all those reports are good. I read hundreds of these reports. And I found the reports very good. They talk about a lot of things. But in many reports, what's missing is the soul, the spirit of why you're doing it. A nice photo with a couple of kids jumping around in it. It's not CSR. It's PR. But the question becomes, how do you translate that to real impact and real results? Someone made a comment earlier about Canada. In Canada, we're afraid of risk. We're so afraid. And it's good. But at the same time, Canada has to learn to show a bit of emotion sometimes. That's why when the Winter Games were here, it was good. We actually had some moxie. We said, yeah, we won. We won medals. Canada's only like, oh, we won, okay, we're quiet about it. We are a country of 30 to 35 million people, and we're a G8, G9 country. We should have some muscle and say, we're proud to be who we are, and speak up a bit more. So what we're going to talk about here in CSR is, just from GlobeScan. And I use GlobeScan for a lot of my research because they also did a study in 2009 that showed Of all the sectors and how they're viewed in CSR, mining, oil, and gas were at the very bottom in 2009. So they released a recent report saying, no, despite the fact that CSR initiatives have reached an all-time high, no, we've never seen more activity in the whole area of social responsibility ever in our history, awareness is flat. People are saying, yeah, so that's great. What do you mean? Now, I bet you dig deeper into the survey and they ask you, okay, what do you think about these companies and their social responsibility initiatives? They're gonna say, A, what do you mean by that? And two, yeah. And they ask them why not? They're gonna say, because we don't trust them. So while activity is increased, while we're seeing more and more CSR initiatives, just not in the mining sector, the legal sector, we're seeing the NGOs team up with numerous private sector companies, we're seeing banks, automotive, you name the sector, you name it. Almost every company, university, etc., looking at the issue of CSR. There's growing worldwide frustration. The economy, the worldwide economy is still teetering, especially what's happening in Europe right now, in particular what's happening to Europe right now. But as well, we talked about CSI being about kind of ignoring the issues, just doing what you want to do because it makes you feel happy, makes you feel safe doing it. Youth unemployment issues across the Western world are severe. Spain, 50% of the young people can't find a job. I do business with the Philippines. They're worried to death about where are young people going to find jobs in the Philippines. Where they're going to find them in Thailand. In Canada, we're somewhere around 15 to 17% youth unemployment. So there's a disconnect. All this social responsibility activity, but yet young people are saying, I'm not seeing anything. That's great you did a little program here. That's great that you've done that. But there's nothing for me. I did everything you told me to do as a society. I went to school, I got my degree, I've networked, I talked to people, and there's nothing. I'm not talking about the kids who are entitled, who are lazy, who said, man, I should make 100 grand out of school right now. I'm talking about the kids who are actually trying. And you're seeing the results. Greece is saying, the people of Greece are saying, I don't think your austerity, I'm not handling that. We're not dealing with that right now. And I would say 5 years ago, I don't really care what's happening in Greece. I really don't care personally. But then I see it affect my stock portfolio. Let's be real. I mean, my retirement is now impacted by what's going on in Europe. No, millions of people marching the streets in Spain. We still have issues in the Arab world, in North Africa. And now you're seeing young people here saying they've had enough. They're starting to boil up steam with the Occupy movements, etc. The mistrust just keeps on going. So what's happening is because of the disconnect between what they're seeing as what their economic reality people are facing versus the beautiful reports that we see out here, we're seeing Mining Watch Canada. Thousands upon thousands of followers on Twitter. When they tweet something, they get numerous retweets, attacking a lot of our Canadian mining companies. Sometimes it's not 100% factual. A lot of times it's perception-based. But let me tell you something about perception. Perception becomes one's reality. Perception. I'm a 30-year-old Canadian-born black male whose name is Rad Dockery. When I walk into a boardroom, most people don't expect to see me. I have to deal with that perception whether I like it or not. The reality is, I have a degree, I'm educated, I'm well-versed, I know what I'm doing. But the reality, I have to deal with the stereotype they have of a black male who looks like me. That's perception. I could complain about it all I want, but that's a perception I have to deal with. So I deal with it. It's not good enough to say, well, it's a perception, it's not true. I've seen some companies release, it's not true what they're saying. No, own it and attack it and deal with it. No, protestbarrack.net. You know what happened at their annual meeting? The amount of protests that were outside. And interesting about the Tibet example, the Tibetan population in Canada is not huge. It was local people here in Canada protesting at these various events. There weren't 55 planes that flew over from Tibet full of Tibetan protesters. It's people here. If you don't deal with people here and what their concerns are either, they're going to put fuel in the fire. That's irresponsibility. Now, I don't have to talk about Wall Street. People are still very upset, and that may be a major election issue in the US this year. And the public's much smarter now. This is not 10, 15 years ago. That was said earlier by Graham, we have smartphones and tablets. And I don't need to watch news to know what's happening in the world. I got Twitter. Within 2 seconds, I know what's going on. So here's an ad by Nissan. And the bottom of the ad it says, the black experience is everywhere. It's showing how culture transcends. I think it's a great ad. No, a lot of my friends, and so we hang out in places like this, it relates. It brings people together. But then you see this, and then people start asking questions, saying, okay, that's great, you want me to buy your products, and you think it's cool that we're multicultural, that's great. But then people start to ask questions and say, but the black experience is not in your boardroom. The black experience is not in your management. Nissan, explain yourself. To the point in my community, in my area, the car dealerships lost 42% of sales from their black clientele who said, you need to address this issue now. Don't give me your diversity statement on your website. Where is it? You want me to buy your cars? We'll start putting some money in the game. The black experience is everywhere except your boardroom. That's the discussion I had with Nissan in Japan 3 weeks ago. It sounds like tough talk, it sounds harsh, but it's true. People are sick and tired of being told something doesn't match what you're telling them. CSIs, we match the truth with the fact that there's a gap, address the gap. No, this was the big one this past year. No, stop Coney. My niece who's never involved in anything. My niece cares about her iPhone, her BlackBerry, and Facebook, and cute guys. That's all she cares about, right? Love her to death. She said, Uncle Rad, you have to see this video about Coney. No, I'm upset, I want to do something about it. So I watched the video and I said, whatever. Because I've been involved enough in this type of stuff to understand what was going on. To the point a big Twitter backlash happened against this whole Coney movement. This movement impacts how CSR and community development is viewed. A lot of the NGOs have to be careful, it's also reflected on them. Because people started questioning, what do these NGOs actually do? What would happen if we solved all the issues of kids being poor? What would they do? People start asking us on Facebook and Twitter, what would they do? Do they need these poor people to exist? Who are these guys to talk about Coney? Who are they anyhow? Let me talk to people who are actually from Congo. And a lot of videos came up from people from Congo attacking this movement. The Stop Coney movement is now dead. And they raised millions of dollars. That's CSI. That's irresponsible. So the question becomes, is your CSR measurable? By measurable, I don't mean that, you know what, we gave you a budget, you executed the budget, yay. I mean measurable that people are actually impacted in a positive way. And just not the same old people you deal with all the time. One NGO when I was in Botswana, I was stunned to see they deal with the same block in the same neighborhood all the time. But literally you took 2 steps away, they never do it with people across the street. The government has since kicked that NGO out. Who are you talking to about how great your initiatives were? The same old people who are comfortable telling you what you want to hear? Or are you doing people who really will tell you the truth and then work with them to figure out a way to solve the problem? People who talk straight. People who don't speak as perfect as you speak, but will tell you exactly what they feel on the street, because that's what matters the most. We're going to talk about this in Toronto. I'm plugging the event, Bruce, on June 28th. On social media event, which I will be a panelist talking about, so feel free to enroll. Except Bruce is with a much aggressive, beautiful voice than I would. Use social media just not to tell people what you're doing, but to interact about what you're doing. Now, I do a lot of social media training. We just did some with some MBA students in Korea. And especially, I find companies and governments in general use social media as a one-way communication tool, like it's a press release blast. I don't care about your press releases. What people want to do is see how you interact with me. So if I say, I'm concerned about a junior miner doing business here, I've heard some stories, respond to me and say, no, that's a good point. Let's have a Twitter chat, or let's have an online chat about what your concerns are. That helps solve irresponsibility. It shows that you're responsible. This is not, hey, we've done all this great job in this African city. Here's what we've done. And people send you numerous tweets and you never respond back to them. That's irresponsibility. Responsible saying, I hear what you're saying, let's talk about it. The Globe scan again shows, people are going to social media to see how CSR initiatives are working. It's not the Facebook, Twitters, the YouTubes, etc. They want to know, what are you doing? Good news travels faster than, bad news travels faster than good news. Embrace it. Which means if you don't have someone who specializes in social media who's integrated into your company, start doing it. Bridge the generational divide and the cultural divide. seek to bridge it. This is what we specialize in all day. We do a lot of work in Indonesia. You want to see a generational divide? It's unbelievable. Islamic State, where young Islamic girls and boys love Beyonce, but no, the elders will ban Beyonce from coming into the country. I mean, and they'll sell out 400,000 tickets over 4 days, and they cancel the concert. No, we have to start bridging this gap. That generational gap is important in every community where you're doing business or your clients are doing business. I can guarantee you that. I hear a lot of companies saying, well, we go to schools, we do things on our own. The next part of that bridging that divide is who's communicating the message. The example was last year, my doctor warned me that I was about to become pre-diabetic. I gained too much weight, I wasn't active. I got up to 244 pounds. I went to see I had to do something about it. Looked at personal training places. I looked for trainers who, number one, actually train. So when they do the exercise, I can see that they know how to do them. Not someone who's sitting there and saying, you don't know how to do them, but I think you should do it. I want to see somebody who has the results that I want. So when they tell me in that training class, push Rad, push for that extra push-up, push for that, I want to do it, because I see them. Who's delivering your messages for you? The same people who people don't trust? It doesn't make a lot of sense. There's a reason why a politician will send certain people in the community to deliver their message for them. So it makes no sense if someone says to me, no, I've been here since Tuesday, my business partner's better with CFOs than I am. So guess who I flew in here to meet the CFO of 3 companies we met? Him. He's better versed at that. So who's delivering the message? The message could be great, but who's delivering it also is as important. Who's delivering it? When I'm in Beijing, I'm delivering a message, it connects better than someone you would. Because they're not used to seeing, they can say, I can connect to that. And vice versa. Culture matters. I would say culture might be the most underrated thing that Canada's not taking advantage of. And I've talked about this many times before. We're not taking advantage of it. Consider non-traditional partners. It makes sense. Of course, if you're a mining operation, finance, etc., you do business in an area where World Vision does business, it makes sense to figure out where you could collaborate. And I know there's still some friction, but we're seeing some progress there. That's positive. But it always has to be the same NGOs we go to all the time? The same partners you always use? No, we did a program in Indonesia called Hip Hop Mining, where we teamed up hip hop artists with the mining sector. We're like, what does that mean? How does that relate? Well, hip hop's been the #1 industry to attack the mining industry. Kanye West Diamond songs, various songs from various artists have attacked the mining industry. And they talk about bling all the time, so we connect the bling to mining. Where'd that diamond come from? Where'd that gold chain come from? Where does that Bugatti Veyron, the parts of the Bugatti come from that you love so much? Mining. And all of a sudden, we got all these kids now who don't look at the mining sector as negative. And the mine executives saying, I don't look at them as a negative anymore. We can find a way to collaborate together. I'll talk about Sankofa Educare. They're a new NGO that consists of people who care so much about what's going on in Africa. They put their own money in. They have a proven track record. We're helping them now get access to some companies here to fund some of the programs that they're doing, and I'm helping rewrite some of those programs. It won't be the same old partners. And go to audiences that, you know what, when you get attacked by somebody, find someone in there who, work on them. Make a sales pitch. The same sales pitch you make to your investors and your clients, make a sales pitch to them. There's more credibility than to send the same old person say the same old thing all over again. And then, a couple of years later, you know what, your mind generates $400 million per year in revenue. You're saying, we spent $100,000 on a project. People are not stupid. No, when I had my old job, we closed an $80 million sale. A huge sale. Everyone was popping champagne, we're all happy.